This is my video journal. It's not intended to be advice or guidance. I'm just going to express what I'm thinking and feeling in the present moment. And I'm just having this kind of realization about the kind of content that actually is super valuable to me and the kind of content that's actually changed my life. I think I've uncovered this little nugget of awesomeness. I was thinking of all the different things that have really had a dramatic impact on me, and really you trace it all back to shit that you've done, and you were responsible for all the amazing changes that you've made in your life, but what was the thing that actually got you to do it? And I was thinking about that, and I realized it's not the videos that explain it really well and outline it really clearly, and those videos are great. They were great for sort of creating a clear image of where you want to go and what you want to be doing and the kinds of behaviors and habits that you need to form and everything. But I noticed there's something more powerful than explicitly telling somebody what to do. And I think we have a little bit more resistance to being explicitly told what to do. But if you're watching a video and somebody tells you a bit of a story, or it could just emerge at any moment, something that I'm not even trying to tell you right now could emerge, and you have your own insight, you have your own little aha moment, and in that, that's not enough. That's not the thing that changes it. You can't just go, oh, I see it differently now, and your life just immediately transforms. The thing that does it is when you have the aha moment, the secondary thought that pops into your head after the aha moment that says, I'm gonna do X, I'm gonna do this thing. So you hear something, you might hear how, I don't know, that I'm saying right now, it's not the explicitly telling people what to do. People have resistance to that. And you might have, I'm now giving it to you, but you might have this aha moment where you're I have to be less direct. I need to make content where I'm a bit more of a storyteller and I'm just being more authentic and all that kind of thing. But you have your own, it's like Inception, the movie. You have to make the person believe that it was their idea so that they'll actually buy into it. Otherwise it all falls apart. It's a really interesting thing that's emerged today. And it's funny because that's not what today was about at all. I've been shooting content about taking your business to the next level and all this kind of stuff. But just all the ingredients were there. And that's another thing about this kind of content that actually is really transformative. Quite often, the thing, you cannot make it up. You cannot fake this shit. You can't give somebody the thing, because a big element of it is all of the other ingredients in that pot. That is their life, that is their experience. And you just happen to say the right thing at the right time. You could be talking about chicken noodles, and somebody could be like, I ate chicken noodles last night, and I didn't do the dishes, and blah, 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 and then they connect it to all these other things that they watched, and this huge, unconscious, subconscious web of, crazy connections happens, and all of a sudden, they've made a decision to change their life that is so effective that everything starts to transform around them. And the craziest thing about this is, we never take a moment to reflect on this. We never, sit down and, draw out a map of all of the influences that led us there, and you wouldn't be able to. That would be overwhelming. It's something that I do a little bit. I like to connect all the dots, and I talk about that in terms of time traveling and all the possibilities, and looking backwards and forwards through this crazy possibility trees or whatever different things that I've called that experience before. But yeah, it's just so fascinating to me that we're all trying to do these things really explicitly. I keep saying explicitly, deliberately. We all have these ideas and we're executing and we're hustling and we're doing all this stuff. And maybe this did have a lot to do with today, because we were talking about flow, and the client that I was shooting with, her whole thing is flow in business. So yeah, probably credit a lot of these insights to her, but again, it's she didn't say anything or do anything in particular. She doesn't know what she did to me, and I don't know what she did to me. All of these other ingredients were in my mind, and the other little details that I'm adding to it to come up with this finished recipe that is this transformation thing that's happening inside me right now. And I suppose like this could even be insignificant. Like maybe I think like, oh, this is so life-changing. I've just really realized this little nugget of like how things actually change my life. It's not the things that I'm like trying to make happen. It's these subtle things. But what do you even do with that? What are you going to do? Like, just like expose yourself to a bunch of random stuff until you have an epiphany? Like, I suppose you could do that. It's one of the books that they were talking about today was The Surrender Experiment. I'm definitely going to read that because it's about a guy who just started saying yes to everything. And if you know me really well, you know that I've got an acronym tattooed on my chest that stands for Just Do Things Just Because. And that is a philosophy that I held earlier in my life that did much the same thing. Like I just said yes to everything and just went on all these crazy journeys and made massive mistakes, took huge risks, fucked everything up. I was like homeless, organizing an event that was in 5 digits, and it all went wrong, and I had to pay all this extra money because all these crazy things happened. And like I just kept saying yes anyway. Like, who does that? Somebody who is surrendering to all the possibilities. So I've like intuitively sort of had that approach. And for most of my life, I thought it was really bad for me. But now, like in the last few years, I'm realizing all of the beautiful lessons that I learned from all of that insanity and all of that chaos and uncertainty and suffering. Now it's like, one of the things from all that stuff is when I'm looking at planning these bigger events with other people and stuff, I have no fear of like it all going wrong because I've already done it. I've already been in over my head so deep that like I am going to drown, and I'm still going, like I'm still here, and I paid off all the debt and like did all that, and it's like it's behind me now. And like if that all happens again, if for whatever reason somehow we manage to make the same mistakes again and like do the same, if we have to learn that lesson again, that'll be okay too. But we won't, because we're conscious and we're learning and we're present and we're actually ready to ascend into the next stages of possibility and all that. This is a good one. This is a good day. I met just like so many crazy, great people in the last couple of months. Just like it's been non-stop amazing. And all of this emerged because I did that thing again. Like I was in a job that wasn't serving me, and it just kept getting heavier and heavier, and I was like sort of gritting my teeth and bearing it. And then one day I was like, nah, it's too heavy, and I just let it go. And it was so messy, and my boss was so angry, or like my client was so angry because I had like one main client, and that's what the problem was. He was just like sucking all of my energy and all of my awareness, and like that's a repeating pattern. But now I feel like I've transcended that as well. And I let that go, and that was chaos all over again. I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do, but I created this space, and whenever you create space, things show up. Like, and this is the other part of the thing. Like earlier in my life, I learned to say yes to everything. Now I'm learning that now I've like experienced all these possibilities, all these doors have opened up. I've experienced a lot of things. Like I feel like I've got a very rich palette, like for experience. Like I know all of the flavors of the world. So now I'm at the part of my life where I get to choose and say no to things, and keep space open for what I actually want to occupy that space. And that's a really, really beautiful part of the journey. Like it's so epic, and you can't really get there. Like you're gonna get where you're going. Like it's all drains lead to the ocean, Nemo. But like you got to go through a process of being challenged and go through uncertainty. And I think like I was gonna say, like you can't really emulate that, but you kind of can, like by just saying yes to everything. Like you could just like push yourself into these situations where you're way over your head. And I know a lot of my audience is like struggling with mental health stuff, because that's what I'm all about. But I think we're kind of being convinced by like the world and society right now that like we've bitten off more than we can chew when we haven't. Like it's this idea that like I have depression or I have anxiety or I have all these labels and I've got to do all these things that like is limiting us from the experiences that are actually going to expand us. So like with these labels comes all these limitations. And we're talking at my peer work group the other day with all the other peer workers about how like you have to get the NDIS support, which is in Australia is like the government funding support for your mental health issues. You have to go through this degrading, grueling process of convincing them how fucked up you are. And just that process in itself, from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, is going to cause mental distress. It's going to cause mental illness. It's going to create an identity for you that is going to be disempowering. So that's what you're contending with. Like the social narrative around mental health is like fucking you up. And like I just had like one of my best mates, like really good friend of mine, messaged me like an hour ago saying that he nearly checked himself into a psych ward. And I'm like, dude, like I'm getting emotional now, but like he's gonna check himself into a psych ward, give up his autonomy because like everything's getting too much. But like, why is it getting too much? Because of all these bullshit stories that are all around us, limiting us and putting us in these boxes and shit. I'm just kind of over that. A little bit of a rant out of nowhere. But yeah, I'm doing something that I haven't done before. And that's like, I'm walking home from a shoot. Ended up on the beach because it's beautiful. And like I'm in public and I haven't thought about the public. I'm just in the flow, talking about what I'm thinking and feeling. And hopefully somebody out there has some kind of insight that snowballs into a bunch of amazing experiences and a whole better life. Because that's like, yeah, it's videos like this, like just little things that I've seen where people are just being real that have actually like led me on some of the coolest journeys and like given me permission to like just go for it and like look at it in a different way and not be afraid that I don't have all the answers, or like really communicate to me that like all of the darkness and suffering and all uncertainty and stuff is good for you, like, and you really believe it when you hear it like this. Like I think that's a big part of things as well. People can tell you like all black and white and stiff and direct how you need to blah blah blah. But when somebody is like actually in their real aliveness moment, just like saying that this is just it, like fuck it, like this is where we're at, this is what it's all about, you can hear that, but you can receive it a little bit more. This is where I live, by the way, and this is a part of that journey as well. Just live in paradise. And my whole plan that I've set for myself, my little manifestation goal, is to be able to run this whole show out of this backpack. And today I sort of did that, like the first step of like, this is all I took with me. Didn't have a car, like didn't have any of those things. I jumped on a bus and I got to a client and I did the stuff that I needed to do, and it was exceptional, and they're going to be really stoked with what they get out of it. So yeah, good day.